Hello and welcome to another episode of At Random Podcast. I'm your host Alex, and joining me today is my lovely, dangerous wife, Ali. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Still married to you, but okay.
For now. And also joining us today, of course, is the crazy mad lad over in Belgium, Andy.
I want to fuck.
How you doing, sir?
I want to fuck.
You want to fuck?
I want to fuck. I want to find. So
Well,
the F.
last time you did that, you had another child, so maybe you should stop.
Yeah, that was the last time. That was like more than 6 months ago.
This is usually how it works when children are born.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I want to
math,
fuck.
though?
The F stands for I want to find ways to make you smile. The U stands for I want to understand and support you. The C stands for I want to cuddle you and hold your hand. And the F or the K stands for I kind of really want to fuck the shit out of you too. So I want to fuck.
Okay, do you know that?
I
Andy
know it's
bringing
gay.
his terrible jokes again.
Daddy jokes. That's all about.
Boom.
That's what I'm all about.
I mean, we're used to it at this point. It's cool.
Yup.
All right. So, well, Ali kind of knows what we're doing today. Andy has no idea. Well, basically, it's time to put on your space cadet suit. We're going to space today. We're going to Mars.
Oh.
We're going on a little
Okay.
adventure. Not really. We're gonna learn some shit. I was gonna play a game, but I didn't manage to find the research. I wanted to do the game properly, so maybe I'll do it another time. But so yeah, we're gonna talk about like how humans could potentially actually colonize Mars, or if it's even possible.
Ah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
actually a good
what you gonna
episode.
do?
I didn't expect to hear science fiction shit today, but like here we are.
Hopefully, some of it isn't fiction. We'll soon
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do like a little brief introduction. Why people are obsessed with going to Mars and not some other planet or moon or whatever. Then I'll talk a little bit about like some of the methods we could use to make Mars suitable for humans to habit the planet.
Wait, is
And
Ali
then
is Ali just did she just fell asleep?
I think she's like,
No, my stomach is just cramping, but I accidentally almost knocked my tent over.
Oh,
so-
because first I
Continue.
thought you were trying to kiss your microphone, and I was like, that girl is so love depraved. And then I saw you fall backwards, and I was like, well, that's the end of her. Here she goes.
she can't die yet. She's not insured. Fuck. We need to take that out tomorrow tomorrow's Monday. We're ringing them. We're getting insurance on you.
I'll send you a reminder. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, so then we're going to do a bit of like a Mars versus Earth. So like, what are some of the differences between the two planets?
Okay.
And what's sort of some of the technology that's potentially going to be involved, or at least is being researched
Yeah.
into how we could do it. And of course, it will lead to our great leader, Elon. The great Elon.
Musk. Yeah. Who, by the way, I'm such a big fan of. Like, I'm on the cuff about the guy on some points, but overall, I think he's an amazing human being and like the greatest fucking contribution to mankind so far.
At least he's a billionaire that spends his money, not just trying to make more. Like, he loses so much money on some of these companies.
Oh,
like
yeah.
SpaceX and Tesla, like they lost money
But
for so fucking long.
did you
But he's just
know
doing
that
it 'cause
you
it's
don't
cool.
have do you know that you don't have to buy a Tesla to own a Tesla?
I did not.
He never patented any of the ways of making a Tesla. If you want one, you can just make it on the free market.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing with his. In Futurama, they have those tubes, vacuum tubes for transport. They're trying to do that with trains, and I'm pretty sure that they have made everything like open source, so there's no patents.
Yeah,
or anything.
Same for the cars, Tesla.
Damn.
Seriously, if
Amazing.
a person wants a Tesla, he can just make one. He can find the plans for it online and just make it. It's not patented.
Fuck, man. Even more proof that guy is just a cyborg.
Yeah,
He is from the future.
he's
probably
so
from
fucking
Mars.
awesome.
He's been sent back in time to try to speed up the process.
Yeah.
All right, so well, let's get into it then, shall we?
We shall.
So, just a little quick background. So, Mars is about 53% the size of the Earth, so it's a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
It would take approximately 80 to 150 days to fly there. according to SpaceX, depending obviously on where in the orbit Earth and Mars are. So different times of year it's longer or shorter, obviously depending on rotation around the sun. The average would be about 115
days. How long
days.
would it take for me to get to Uranus? It had to be done. Had to be done. Space episode had to be done. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your waiters.
It will take you an eternity to get to my anus, I'll tell you that much.
As long as I get there in the end.
I've heard stories about where that dick's been. I don't want that inside of me.
You know what? That's actually somewhat true. You do not want my dick inside of you.
All right, yeah. So it would take an average of about 115 days. So that's basically, 4 months stuck in a spaceship floating through nothingness just to reach Mars.
Cool.
SpaceX are planning a maiden flight in 2022.
Ooh.
Robotic flight with just everything
so not
automated.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. We'll get back to these a little bit more later. They're planning a manned flight in 2024. Although, I mean, some of these dates, I think, these were initially announced.
Though. 2 years?
Yeah. Well, they were initially announced like 2016, so they may have changed a little bit, but I couldn't find any updated figures. So, I mean, Elon's probably just like, fuck it, we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, ready or not. And yeah, but NASA's not really planning any Mars shit till 2030s.
Just fuck the planet before it even starts.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, NASA's not really planning anything Mars related till 2030. They sort of see the moon as sort of a much more reachable step in between. Because they think Mars is really far away. Yeah, I mean, we've been in the moon. That's old fucking hat.
No, we haven't. And then fuck the people that believe they did.
We didn't when they said we did.
No, people have been on the moon, but not that first time. Neil Armstrong
I've actually heard Buzz Aldrin admit on a video where a girl asks, why haven't we gone back to the moon yet? And Buzz Aldrin's answer was, well, I think I know the answer to that. And it's because we haven't yet been. But I can't wait for the day that it happens. I was like, okay, so either this guy is fucking batshit crazy or something's definitely like... It's still weird, though. It's still weird.
It is weird. And yeah, I too don't think we got there when they said... I mean, it was just to beat the Russians and make the Russians look dumb, right? But or whatever. That's not what this is about, though. We're going to skip that conspiracy. That's maybe Andy can do a conspiracy later on.
Yeah.
It's more his alley than mine.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to move on to sort of like some of the ways that have been thought about or like popularized and how you would maybe make Mars suitable for humans or life in general. As we
basically
know it.
terraforming, right? These are concepts.
That's one of the ways.
Yeah.
So there's 4 main ways here. But first, so the whole concept is planetary engineering. So that's basically the process of using technology to alter or influence a global environment. So not just like a small, not just like one base on Mars, but to actually change the entire planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. To change the entire planet. This also applies to Earth. Like, for example, combating climate change would fall under this as well. This isn't strictly just like science fiction-y sort of shit. Yeah. They actually do this in real life as well, on Earth.
Do you have information, by the way, on like the weather in Mars? Is it sustainable for
that's coming up.
Okay.
That's coming up. And that's in the next section. We'll get there. So most of this planetary engineering stuff mostly exists in like science fiction, because obviously we can dream of things much more advanced than we can actually build.
Of course.
So that sort of makes sense. So there's sort of 4 examples I have here of planetary engineering. Number 1 is terraforming, which we're going to discuss more in later on, because that's the main concept as popularized by almost every science fiction thing ever made.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. They all involve some sort of terraforming on some level. Another one is called seeding, which is the process of using microbial like agents to basically, so you would send like a whole bunch of shit off to Mars, automated system, because Mars has ice, shitloads of ice, but not liquid water. So what they would plan to do is actually send like microbes or things into the ice crust and hope to get like liquid water underneath, and then basically start growing sea life from like within Mars itself. And then over time, millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years, that will actually change the environment by doing that. And you would keep sending different things at different stages, and like that would be a slow development. You'd send some sea life or whatever, then maybe as the things change, you start sending plant life.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
25 black twerking females. That would melt that ice right off that planet. It would be liquid in no time.
Just crack that crust right open.
Yeah. Just fucking twerk on the Mars planet. Just
Ali's
fucking
face
do
is
that.
amazing.
I just sometimes wonder if I just am part of this podcast, so you can torture me, basically, having to listen to both of your stupidity.
It's not
What? I'm
stupid.
coming with science.
Okay,
I'm
whatever. Alison,
sorry,
look at-
Ali.
Andy, you're not allowed to speak
do
anymore.
you know if it wouldn't work?
Ali, Andy,
She's telling herself off.
Andy, cállate. Alex, please continue with the Mars stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so an example of this would be like Jupiter's moon Europa has an ocean protected under a thick ice crust. So there's like a theory that, yeah, they could send like sea life into there. And the whole idea is it creates like phytoplankton in the water, which actually encourages like oxygenation of the water, which eventually over time would create a dense enough atmosphere for human life or terrestrial life that we know.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the theories.
So that would take.
Oh yeah, that would take. Like this would be like over millions of years plan, or this would be done in conjunction with other things.
But that's
It
the
wouldn't be
main
a primary
problem.
way.
That's the main problem with the whole process of any forming of a planet is that we like the reason Elon Musk is pushing a lot of this is because he believes we don't have that much time left.
Exactly. And it's like this, like even the quickest way, which in theory would be the terraforming sort of ideas,
Also
I mean,
take
they
a
will
very
still
long
take
time.
tens or hundreds of human generations, like lifetime generations, before it would fully
Be stable
become, like what you see in a Star Trek type
Mm-hmm.
thing, where it's like some full-on colony sustaining
enough.
life.
Like we don't have that time though. Like
No,
either
we
way.
No,
We
but
don't.
I guess the idea is, I mean, if we can change another planet, imagine what you can do on your own planet in that time.
don't. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like we.
I mean,
could help the
look
Earth.
by just staying inside how much the world has changed. We went over this on the last episodes, but we drastically deformed this planet to a motherfucking pulp.
Yep.
So yeah, we could probably fix this planet still, I think.
Nah, too late.
Nah, it's a living organism. You
All
always
right.
can. Hey, if Andy can survive his entire life so far, the Earth can bounce back.
Yeah, that is a mystery. No, I can explain.
Okay.
How is this man still alive?
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol,
Drugs,
children.
alcohol. Well, basically, that's what kept me
Coronavirus.
alive a lot of the times.
Well, that was your suggestion in episode 11 for all the kids out there to just drink the cocaine and snort the alcohol.
Stop it. Jesus.
I remember that episode. That was a good episode. Full of
that was
advice,
great.
that one.
It was. All right, whatever. So the third one is geoengineering. This applies only to Earth, sort of in its current description. And this is things like removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere of the Earth, using things such as like ocean iron fertilization, which is where you like add iron into parts of the ocean that are like iron deficient, and then that increases phytoplankton production at the ocean level, which means that the ocean can take more CO2 from the atmosphere. And that is, one of the ways that they're currently actually investigating to stop global warming, or at least slow it down.
But wouldn't
Okay,
putting too
cool.
much plankton into the ocean somehow damage the ecosystems in the ocean as well?
I mean, I think we fucked the ocean that much that adding some more phytoplankton's probably not a bad idea.
Isn't it like a thing that we've only discovered like 10% of our oceans?
Like 1% or something? Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
insane
I
stat
don't
like
think
that.
the oceans are fucked. I think 1% of the oceans is definitely fucked.
Well, there's the whole thing that we probably know more about space, even if it is mostly theoretical, than we actually know about the ocean, because it's
Yeah.
actually easier to get information about.
That's so fucked up though. Why don't we know more? Like, it's so
But there's a
weird.
lot of...
Because it's so wet down there, and who wants to get wet?
And the pressure...
Well,
yeah,
besides me.
And think about it, there's a lack
24/7.
of light, there's insane pressure when you
Yeah.
get down to the depths of the ocean. Whereas, like, you look at space, it's just, you're looking at light that came like millions and millions of years ago. You can just
Yeah.
observe it. So it's not really that difficult to look at because you can literally see it with a powerful enough telescope and shit like that, and smart enough people. But okay. So another example of geoengineering which they're looking into is the use of mirrors in space to manage solar radiation levels on Earth, to actually like deflect sunlight or onto Earth or away from Earth as needs be.
Huh.
Like
That's
enormous
weird.
mirrors. Yeah.
You don't need to deflect the sunlight, though.
It's more like the radiation. So I think like when they have like solar flares and shit like that, being able to like shut out so not excess radiation comes in. This is something that they're also thinking about for Mars, to actually like melt the ice. Eventually when they have settlements, is to basically get huge mirrors and just direct sunlight into these like chambers and basically like literally melt the ice by just brute forcing it with sunlight.
We don't even know what's under the ice.
It's fucking man, there's some smart people out there though. Amelia, you'd think like a 4-year-old came up with that idea. Like, who would put some mirrors up there, Dad? Like, yeah, that's a fucking good idea, Billy. It's actually a really good
building
idea.
in the garage.
Yeah. Fucking Bob from Kentucky just putting out his fucking mirrors.
Oh, I'm glad he joined us this episode.
Oh, he's here every episode. All right, the fourth one is habitability maintenance, which again is more like a...
What?
Habitability maintenance.
What the
This
fuck
is
is
basically climate change prevention, essentially. But there is actually a thing where in about 600 million years, there will actually not be enough carbon dioxide on Earth to sustain trees and tree life. So they will actually die. So the Earth will die as we know it within 600 million years, regardless of what we do. If we let things
Tuesday?
keep going.
I don't think I have anything planned that day. That's fine.
I mean, fuck, if you live to be that old, holy shit, we're screwed. You just become our alien sex slave.
Still making dad jokes 60 million years ago. 60
like
billion
sitting there
years from
instead
now.
of Princess Leia, you're just there with Jabba the Hutt type creature chained up next to him, telling him dad jokes. Being his little
Hey Andy,
sex
how you
puppet.
doing?
Me Jabba in the waka. But anyway, so an idea in this instance, an example of this technology, where like humans will actually take underground stores of carbon dioxide and then literally just like eject it into our atmosphere to prolong tree life. So that's an example of trying to maintain the habitat we have. We're not really changing it, but we don't want it to change either. We want it just to sort of stay how we have it now.
You know a good way to keep it alive?
I know what you're gonna say.
I know what you're going to say, but it's actually
Go
wrong,
ahead.
Batman.
Why is it wrong?
I literally just said no matter what we do in 600 million years, there's not going to be enough carbon
Yeah, I know.
dioxide. Were you listening?
Yeah, I was.
Jesus.
I was laughing a bit because when Andy was repeating the word, it sounded like he was like the word he was saying sounded like he was saying bibbidi bud biddy boo from like, is it Cinderella? So that's why I couldn't stop laughing because all I could see, because all I could see is you with like a fairy dress, just like bibbidi bud biddy boo.
I would be the
take your
fucking
slipper?
best fucking fairy out there. I can tell you that much. Fucking tightest pink leotard you'd ever seen.
Handing out condoms and syringes with some HIV.
I'm a guy.
Right.
I'd have a fucking camel toe, and like, don't ask me how I got it. I just have.
So you're
That's
just like
me as a fairy.
stripper junkie Tinkerbell.
Yeah, and instead of a wand, I'll have a pole with me at all times. Just twerk on that shit.
The
All right,
erection
continue.
fairy.
Sorry.
So now we're going to move on to like terraforming, which is the main concept that people are sort of are obsessed with. And I think you say, and colonizing Mars to anyone, and like you said earlier, is like, we're going to terraform it.
Yep.
So the goal is literally to transform the planet's environment from hostile to something suitable for sustaining human life and other organisms, basically to create another Earth.
Yep.
Mars is usually used as the candidate, as it once had a really dense atmosphere, very similar to Earth, along with it has the presence of water, even though it's frozen.
Yeah.
But some of the issues with terraforming Mars are that it has low gravity. It's only 38% of the Earth's gravity.
Yeah.
So this is something scientists are We're going to talk a bit more later on, but they're looking into the actual effect that would have on people.
I would be dead.
Well,
I can't deal with gravity as it is.
I think,
like
Ali,
here.
No, that'd be better than you won't
I
fall as
know
quickly.
how quickly you
Yeah,
panic. Anything like a millimeter difference of what Earth is, and you would be dead.
Yeah, if it's not true level, you're just freaking out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It also has really low light levels compared to Earth. It's only about 59% of the amount of actual light from the sun
Yeah.
that gets in to Mars. So, of course, that's a big problem since we need photosynthesis,
Yeah.
which is sunlight reacting with plants to create oxygen. And there's no magnetic field, which is a really big problem because that protects from solar radiation and solar winds.
Okay.
And that's sort of why
Yeah.
we can live on the Earth, is literally because we have like an atmosphere and a magnetic sort of field that shields the Earth from a lot of the alpha rays and shit like that fly
So,
around.
do you have any idea on what ways of terraforming might be?
There's not a whole lot here. The problem is it's still very much in science fiction realms in terms of how they're going to do it. There's a little bit I'm going to talk about later on what SpaceX want to do. I wanted to find a lot of like, are they making technology for this? But it was very much.
Well, there's actually a
vague.
very fun way Elon Musk in an interview once said that you can do that. He basically talked about two ways. You can do it naturally, like let the planet, like you said, with germs or whatever,
Mhm.
just pick something that naturally terraforms the planet. Or you could kickstart the planet, which
Are
is
you
an
talking
idea.
about when he said to nuke it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the
I did
most
read that.
badass fucking idea I've ever heard. It's
But
like
he wants
you
to
take
nuke Mars.
He said you could.
Yeah, basically. So what you do is you nuke the North Pole and the South Pole of Mars, and that would basically make it spin faster, which would make it adjust to life a little bit faster and shit like that. And that would actually make the planet terraform itself by just nuking two exact spots on that planet, which is a brilliant fucking way to look at it. I thought that was awesome.
There's also another one about trying to get asteroids and send them to hit Mars
to hit them.
deliberately. But the
Yeah.
problem was you'd need to send like some tens of thousands.
Yeah,
to impact
and
it quick
also
enough.
you have to hit it on the right curve. It's basically all to do with the spin. My thought on terraforming Mars, terraforming Mars, would be to send would be to send a Karen to the sun and tell it to get closer to Mars and like problem
Hey,
solve in 2
motherfucker,
days.
stop being
I
a
swear to
deadbeat
God.
dad. Go love your
Yeah.
son. Fucking dick.
Tell Karen to go talk to the manager of the sun, and then
Of the
that
galaxy.
problem solved. Oh, by the way, thank you, Matthias.
Just live during recording.
Yeah, we
sending
just
Andy
had
dick
to
pics.
cut out for a second there because I received two penis pictures. One that somebody drew, and this is still ongoing from like 15 fucking episodes ago. Thank you, Alex.
Hell yeah.
To a lovely picture of who I believe is Dave Franco. Look at this, Ali. Is this Dave Franco or is that not him?
Yeah, it's him, but
And that is his
So I'm
pee-pee.
probably- so
And there's cum on
that
his
looks
chest as well.
edited. Your phone is broken.
Yeah, it is. I came on it too hard. Just shoot through the glass. All right, let's continue. Terraforming.
Let's do it.
Nuclear
Thanks.
bombs and Karen yells at the sun.
That's true.
What else?
Well, one of the other big issues with terraforming, of course, is the ethical side of it. We don't actually know for a fact that there isn't life on Mars. We just haven't
Okay.
yet found it. So how could you ethically go and start completely changing this? Oh, fucking Andy burping away.
Sorry. Yeah, I think I made the most weird face of my life because I was trying to hold back. I am not used to holding in burps or farts, people. So.
Just go for it. Just edit it out. It doesn't matter.
There we go.
But yeah, so, how do we know if there is how do we know if we have the right to change this planet or to like ruin another planet if there is life forms there and we've just changed it and killed them?
It sort of depends on, do we want to keep living or do we want to follow nature? Because I feel like if we just follow nature, we'll sooner or later we'll just die out as a species, and the planet will probably be better off without us. I think it's not like unethical to search for the best way for you to survive. I think if there are
That's not the problem. The problem is if there's life on the planet that we don't know about, that's the ethical question, not if you can go and settle with your kids up in Mars. The question is, what would we do if there's life there and we just come in and do what we always do and destroy everything?
I'll pose it to you in a different way. If we decide that we are part of nature, right? If because we are, no matter how much we evolve and shit like that, we'll always be part of nature, even though we forget that sometimes. If we go to another planet and extinguish an entire race, another species that lives there or whatever, then isn't that just a way for nature to take its course, since we are part of nature? No matter what we do, ethical or unethical, I don't think there's ethical in the minds of other beings. I think,
nope. That's why they're not sentient creatures per se. Like they're not intelligent like we are.
Exactly.
On how we conceive it.
I mean, if we go in there with technology and beat the ever-loving shit out of them with a baseball bat and they can't defend themselves, then that's still a form of survival of the fittest.
Yeah, that's true.
It's still unethical.
Still unethical, yeah. In
when it comes to survival, do ethics really matter?
Yeah, true. There you go. Well, it's not only that, it's nature as well. Like, I believe that if that were to happen, then that would not be too unethical, because it's basically nature taking its course. It's in a very rough way, but it's nature doing what it does. It's people trying to survive.
It's not okay, yeah.
No, I'm gonna make Andy makes a really good point, because when I was studying, I did have an environmental science degree, so I was studying this shit, kind of nature and all this crap, and then we had a physiology course, and the professor was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like, do you consider human homes to be man-made or or nature? And everyone was like, oh, well, they're man-made, right? And he's like, well, what is man-made? Do you consider a bird's nest to be not nature? Yeah. And I was like, he's like, they're still manipulating the environment to get materials. Humans just do it on a much more advanced scale, but...
Yeah, exactly, because we got smarter, but we're still part of nature. That's at the end of the day, We're gonna look for the way to survive the best way we can with the technology that we have. If another species dies out from that, wouldn't be the first time. I mean, the dinosaurs died out by a very big meteorite. That in this case, we would just be the meteorite. That's the difference.
Yep. So Ali, your view is that we shouldn't, or we don't have the right to terraform, or to...
We don't have the information.
True. But keep in mind, like, this is not going to happen today or tomorrow or in 50 years. It's going to happen probably in 5,000 years or something. We don't know. 500 years. Maybe 100. Some crazy physicist thinks maybe in 100 years, with the advancement in like nanobots and shit like that, we maybe could begin actually sustaining a colony on Mars, but that was very optimistic.
Yeah. Can I just put it out there that Elon Musk can use my body for an experiment he wants to do on Mars? That, and my body is ready for him in other ways as well.
Just gonna say, make a snuff film, Mr. Musk.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. Make some money.
Yeah, of course. And of course, but this goes in well to my next point is, of course, the whole point of why we want to terraform Mars is to basically help stop the human race going extinct. Because if you put us in two very distinct different locations, the chance of an extinction type event that took out the dinosaurs can't happen, or is so slim chance of both planets being taken out at the same time that no matter what happened to Earth, you could survive on Mars, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of the idea behind it. And of course, the other issues with terraforming Mars is just how much freaking money it's going to cost, and the technology, and how do you get governments to work together, or private investors to actually invest the money that they're probably never going to actually get back. You're never going to get the return on this investment.
in my point of view, you've just hit the reason why we can't furtherly evolve as a human race and as a species.
Money.
Is what? Money and working together.
Well, yeah, and that is really the biggest issue. And that's why Elon Musk is like, fuck, I'm just going to do it myself. Because if I wait for the US government to work with the EU to work with the Australian government and the this and the that to come up, and the Japanese space program, it's like nothing will ever happen. They'll spend all this money, but nothing will be achieved.
On the International Space Station, isn't it like the not so long ago that only for the first time that there were actually a couple of countries there combined?
Yeah, I think on a combined mission.
It took us way too long. Like that space station was up there for so fucking long, and there was like nobody going in there.
Nope.
And it's only been like 5 to 10 years that people started, hanging out there and like talking to each other and shit like that.
Yeah, and doing like joint missions between different space programs, not just NASA sending
if
there.
It takes us that long to get that far, imagine what an entire planet making could be like.
Yeah. And who's going to own what? Like, is it going to be like microtransactions to live on Mars? You're like, you can only walk in this neighborhood because you're owned by this corporation. It could be like full-on dystopian future. We don't know. But anyway,
maybe it'll look like that game, Outer Space.
Or Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I want to replay that. It's really good. Okay, so we've spoken a little bit about terraforming, and now it's more like, so how does Mars really differ from Earth, and what are the actual problems? We spoke about a couple, but now go like quite a lot more on reasons why, certainly at the minute, we will not be going to Mars. Like, I don't think the SpaceX thing will happen. Let's put it that way. Not on the timeline, not by 2024. That's 4 years from now. I'd be amazed if human beings went to Mars then. So as we said, like there's only 59% of the light of Earth. There's 38% of Earth's gravity. The atmosphere is less than 1% of Earth's atmosphere, atmospheric pressure. So the biggest issue with the low, less than 1% of the atmospheric pressure is that this falls below what they call the Armstrong limit, which is the point at which water boils at the regular human body temperature. So in that low pressure, all the water in your body at your regular human body temperature would boil. So you would instantly just begin literally, basically, like all your cell walls would just start boiling from the inside out, and you would die, almost instantly. So that is the biggest, probably by far the biggest issue. And the only way to get more atmosphere is to add mass to the planet.
Okay. So more dirt.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Well, one of the only ways.
Mars is how much bigger is Mars than the planet
Smaller.
Earth?
Just over half the size. Yeah, just over half the size of Earth. 53%.
You covered it in the beginning. Weren't you listening?
He wasn't.
I wasn't.
Too much science for his little
dick pics every 5 fucking seconds.
So yeah, adding mass is generally the main way to add atmosphere. And obviously trying to develop it over time, but the quickest way would be just to add mass somehow. So you need foreign bodies like asteroids or whatever to literally add mass.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The other issue is 45% of all people who have ever entered space suffer from space adaptation syndrome. Which causes nausea, vertigo, dizziness, vomiting, headaches in the first hours of weightlessness in space. They never last longer than 72 hours, but it's still a really uneasy, half the amount of people going to Mars have a very uncomfortable trip.
So it's like
space.
sea legs.
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much. It's like being seasick, but in space.
Okay.
And it's because of the weightlessness. Your body doesn't know what to do. It's like, what the fuck?
Can you actually have hard diseases from that?
Yep. I'm about to get there.
Scabies? I don't know what it is, but it's like something in
Scurvy?
It happens in fishermen.
Scurvy. Yeah.
Scurvy. Yeah.
Eat a shitload of lemons. But yeah, so some of the other issues.
Yes, sir.
So weightlessness causes a lot of issues with muscular atrophy, and your skeleton, you start to lose per month. You will lose 1% of your bone mass on average.
Fuck.
So if it takes 4 months for you to get to Mars on average, you're going to lose 4% of your bone mass. You're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. which is why astronauts on the space station like exercise like motherfuckers. And they still get muscular atrophy, but they do that to like try to prevent losing as much body mass as possible. So what astronauts actually do is they wear these pants that have an elastic band that's like, it goes around their waist and attaches to their cuffs, I believe on the arms, on the sleeves. And the whole idea is that actually, because obviously with the lower gravity in space, your bones like stretch, like the joints, you like go apart because there's less pressure holding you together. So they literally wear basically compression bands, giant elastic bands to like compress their legs so that their legs don't get fucked up while they're in space.
Okay.
Weightlessness also slows the movement of fluid in your body. So obviously, you know, your blood and everything moves slower through your body because there's less pressure.
So you piss slower?
I guess so.
That would be weird. Wait, how do astronauts piss? This just hit me.
They have these crazy vacuum toilets, and I don't know. They must put some contraption on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they're not using that toilet to piss if it vacuums them. Come on,
Man, they're just pissing and letting the urine float just to see.
Have you seen when they wash their hair?
Yeah, and there's just like water droplets just
Yeah.
floating.
yeah,
it's super cool.
yeah.
But
It is cool though. It's a cool environment.
Being in space also decreases the production of red blood cells in the human body.
Okay.
You get balance disorders, so like vertigo and dizziness.
I hate vertigo.
It weakens the immune system. They don't know why
That's good.
yet, but it weakens your immune system. The one I sort of thought funniest of all was you get excess flatulence upon returning to Earth.
I need to get space so fast.
Yeah. Along with your loss of body mass, you get sleep disturbance. So you get a lot of problems with sleep, and you actually get a puffiness in the face that they call moon face. That's why astronauts, when they've gone to space, look a bit like, kind of like they've been stung by bees or whatever. They look a bit bloated in the face. It's actually because of the effects of weightlessness on the human body. They also can suffer from severe eyesight problems after long journeys through space or long spaceflight missions.
Why eyesight?
I couldn't find out why, but they said this is probably also one of like NASA's biggest concerns is like, how could you tell someone to go to Mars if they might end up being like partially blind upon getting there?
Yeah. Well, you'd sort of have to have a buffer period where they just readjust to their environments, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, my suspicion, I couldn't find fact, but I would say maybe it's to do with like the slow movement of fluid. So if you have less blood supply to things like your eyes, obviously that's going to damage them.
But also like the general, like I can only think of the words in Swedish, but because your eyes are obviously wet or moist, like
yeah. So you'd like dry out.
Yeah.
Is that what we think? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Also, of course, in space, radiation is a huge problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It leads to a thing called atherosclerosis, which is a buildup of fat, extra buildup, like more than normal, buildup of fats and cholesterol in your artery walls. So basically, it would lead you to have more likely to have heart attacks.
Okay.
In 2012, a NASA-approved study suggested that manned spaceflight would harm the brains of astronauts and lead to early onset of Alzheimer's, affecting like the gray matter or the white matter, whatever it's called in the brain.
Are you under the sea, Andy?
Hmm?
Are you underwater? I can hear some wailing.
That's
just being a dad. That's
just when you bang on the table like, shut the
not
fuck
being
up.
under the water. That's
It sounds
being
like
2 seconds
whales.
away
It's
from
like-
fucking drowning yourself. That's what that is. Let's just say I'm not under the water, but I want to be so bad. I just never come up.
I'm sorry, I'm so easily distracted today for some reason.
All right. But do you want to know some non-human effects of space? They've done a few experiments.
What are non-human effects?
on creatures that aren't human. They've done a few
okay.
experiments.
Oh yeah,
So-
we sent like titmice and shit like that up.
Yeah,
in
I've
space,
got
right?
some stuff here on Russians some scientists sent cockroaches up to the space station.
Oh
And
god, why?
They realized that cockroaches conceived in space grew quicker, were faster, and stronger than Earthborn cockroaches.
Quick question: what the fuck is wrong with these creatures? They would be the only ones to fucking survive a nuclear attack.
That's so
When you put them in the
cool.
harshest
And then they
fucking
rip apart.
like environments, they get only tougher.
Yeah, they
It's
come back
like
hey,
everything
puny
nature
Earth
shouldn't be in
creatures.
one small fucking creature. And they fly!
Is this literally like Men in Black cockroaches coming to life?
This is
Like
some
that
shit from like
cockroach-
Fallout, like
I
giant.
would
like,
not be
meter-long
surprised
cockroaches.
if that was an actual alien race. I would
Yeah.
not be fucking surprised.
No, it's like in Rick and Morty how there's like the cockroaches like as the guards
Oh
in
yeah.
the Citadel.
Yeah.
They're creating them. That's how they happened. It's actually a fact. Rick and Morty is real. It's truth.
Well, they know. They
Yeah.
know what's coming. In other words,
All right. Scientists have also taken chicken eggs into space.
Okay.
fertilized chicken eggs.
Yep. Chicken eggs that were fertilized in
They
space.
just on them when they got out there. I mean, come on.
Chicken eggs that were
Of course.
fertilized in space, 2 days before going into space,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
did not develop properly.
Okay.
However, if an egg was sent more than a week after it was fertilized, it developed normally. So potentially,
Huh.
if you were to be born in space, you would have, I mean, they're just, I don't know. It like impacts your chromosomes or something. There's like some impact.
But they
So
haven't
you'd
tried to
have
send
additional
up
chromosomes.
like a rooster to fertilize eggs in space to see how that would affect the
I don't think they've
development.
had cocks in space yet.
I want cocks in space.
Tell you one thing, if I get there,
You won't even show it to me now, so
the the fucking International Space Station will be painted white. That's what I'll
It
do.
needs a new lick of paint, from what I've heard. It's getting a bit old now.
okay. Have they done any other experiments?
They have, and actually, these ones are probably the more alarming ones.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent the bacteria Salmonella typhimurium, which is a common food poisoning bacteria.
Yeah.
In space, it becomes more virulent and much more aggressive
Of course it does.
than
send some
when
corona
it's
up
on
there.
Earth.
Why would it stay normal? It's
Let's
not a
send some
bad
corona
thing right
up
now.
there and see if it actually develops
No,
and
that's
can
what
actually
happened.
kill
They put
us.
SARS into space, brought it back down, it came back as corona, and that's just fucking us up.
It's not fucking us up enough.
Shouldn't call it COVID-19. It's just SARS 2.0.
Space SARS.
Yeah.
And also other microbes they found adapt to space differently than they do on Earth. They generally thrive in weightlessness and can actually survive in the vacuum of space.
Wait, but so hold on. So now I'm thinking about this differently. Okay, so the first thing you said about humans and all that shit that happens to humans is basically
Yeah.
can be preceded as bad because but again, what if it's just nature adapting? What if it's
it
not
is.
like being sick and all that shit? It's not it's basically our body being sort of kicked in the balls by evolution.
Yeah.
I guess. Like you get a new environment and immediately your body starts adjusting. That is somewhat fucking fascinating, I think.
Just another interesting, like just a thought. Is there regulations in place for like astronauts when they go up to space that they can't have sex? Because what if you would conceive?
I'm
if
pretty
you're-
sure they have very strict,
Yeah.
like, I mean, they're there to do scientific experiments. They're not there to be
People get
fucking
bored.
and creating little
Easily.
cum babies.
I think the official statement was just the tip.
Of course.
And that's it.
If the balls slap against her, you're too deep, pull out. Abort
Float
mission.
against her.
Undone.
Float against her. There's no gravity. There's no slapping. It's just
Yep.
it softly floats against her asshole.
All right,
It's more of a
that's-
caress than a slap.
so that's some of the impacts of like space on humans and non-humans and even
And
bacteria.
that's actually pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, but some other problems with Mars. Of course, there's more. They have ionizing solar and cosmic radiation at the surface level because there's no atmosphere or magnetic fields. So you get huge, I think they're alpha rays. There's a big problem there which destroys electronics. Like completely and utterly just like fucks up computers and shit. Any printed circuit board. It's not that dangerous to humans, but if you eat something, I think, if you eat or drink something with a lot of alpha rays, it actually causes huge problems with, I think, like strokes and cancer.
How does one drink raise?
I think if like if the water is irradiated and then you drink, but it doesn't affect you if you like the human body. If you were just like walking around outside,
okay,
but you have to actually consume it. Other issues: there's global dust storms, no natural food, of course. The soil is highly toxic, contains a lot of perchlorate compounds, which contain chlorine.
Mars not looking so good right now. Jesus fucking Christ.
If you're a bleach drinker, the soil contains chlorine, you're in fucking business. Boom, just eat the dirt. Don't even have to drink it. Yeah, and so they have huge literal, global dust storm events. There's no magnetic fields to protect from solar winds or anything. Blah, blah, blah. So to sort of round this out, let's just look at some of the technology that is being considered to actually make any of this potentially worthwhile. Although, as we've probably just heard, I probably wouldn't bother at this point. To be honest, if you're basically going to die or be killed by a virus.
Like, I'm surprised at how harsh it is up there. Like, I thought, like, basically when you think of Mars, I think like when a robot is. Wait, but that. So they did get the Mars rover up there, so they must have a way of protecting against the rays you were talking about.
It stopped
so
working.
I mean,
yeah. No, they have. They do have.
No,
like,
it stopped working for a while because there was like dust on it. But then one of them sandstorms passed by and just blew all the wind off, and it got working again.
No, you can shield stuff, but it's more like it's not necessarily practical for a mass planetary rollout at this point.
Yeah,
it'd be better to just give it a magnetic field. Ideally,
can't we just like send Bear Grylls up there and see how he does it? Like, I mean, even before he leaves, he's gonna be drinking his own piss. Like everybody knows that. That's
imagine him in space. He'd love it. He could pee and just gobble up all the little bubbles like Pac-Man.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even have to put it in a container anymore. There's no need for it. Just let him.
Wait, who was this?
Bear Grylls. Man vs. Wild.
Ah.
Come on, lady.
I'm just horrible with names.
Get with the program. But
Jesus.
So when I was looking into this, there was a really cool material that I'd never heard of before, but it actually seems like the coolest thing ever, and now I want some. Like, I want to buy some. It's a thing called silica aerogel, also referred to as frozen smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking dope.
It's the lightest substance on Earth, I think.
Yeah, something or very close to it. So it's a synthetic, ultra lightweight material that somehow they managed to get the liquid inside of it to become gas, but be solid on the outside. So it's like a translucent. It looks like a gel, and one of the plans is to actually make like little mini greenhouses, like domes, where you actually cover Mars in some thickness of this material.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did simulations in a lab in Harvard. I think it was at Harvard.
Oh, okay.
Where they simulated Mars and then the sun and all of that. And then they put a layer of this material in, and it like blocked out UV light and increased the temperature more than 50 degrees Celsius, which meant, because Mars is, temperature-wise, around negative 63 degrees Celsius on average, which is negative 81 Fahrenheit. Earth is plus 14 degrees on average, global average. So yeah, you're talking a 77 degree delta there between Earth and Mars average temperature. So what they found is this could raise the temperature to be enough to be from about 0 to 25 degrees Celsius positive, or 32 to 77 Fahrenheit. So in theory, that would actually become warm enough for humans to actually live. And it also blocked enough radiation that humans could live.
Okay.
So now they're doing some more testing, but they think that this could be a way. You'd start, like, you send a team there, they put out a dome, and you would then build on it. Like, you'd make this shit on Mars in factories, and then they'd slowly sort of build out from these like little hubs. Okay. And the benefit of this is like they would go where there's like a lot of water, like ice, make these little domes, use the space mirror things to like heat up the ice to make surface water. And it's warm enough, it's above 0 degrees Celsius, so water's not freezing. So now you have surface water, you have a place warm enough for humans, all of a sudden, boom, you can maybe start having a colony. Maybe.
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking into. And I was like, that is super fucking cool. And that material looks dope as all hell.
Yeah, it
But
does.
I
It
want
does.
some.
It does. I've seen it a couple of times. It actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I really want some. Of course, another one is like bioengineered plants. You'd think pretty, like basically making plants that like take in expel a lot more oxygen than plants on Earth.
Yeah.
So they'd be like,
So would these be like GMO plants or something?
oh yeah, to have like rapid oxygen production. So you could like
Okay.
take the carbon dioxide that's stored in the land or in the crust of Mars, you put it in the atmosphere, or put it in these greenhouses with these trees, and they would just fill the atmosphere with oxygen. Is one of the suggestions, but that would probably take like so fucking long.
But
They don't know if it's
correct me
possible.
if I'm wrong here, but wouldn't it be the case if there were more oxygen surrounding the planet Mars that basically the temperatures would rise again?
Yeah, but they sort of need the temperature to rise, so that's kind of
Yeah.
and they need to create an atmosphere. But one of the criticisms of this is that the atmospheric pressure is so low that anything created by these plants would just escape instantly, basically out into space and be dissipated
Alright, that's-
because there's nothing to hold
okay.
it in.
Yeah.
So they would have to, yeah. But this maybe could be done like in conjunction with this silica aerogel stuff to create little greenhouses, and then you'd slowly just kind of bit by bit build. Of course, other issues with getting to Mars in general is just like refueling and fueling the rockets. Like, how the hell are you going to do that?
Yeah.
So SpaceX, so of course Elon Musk again to the rescue. They're planning to, so you would fly up from Earth into low orbit around the Earth, and then they'd have a fueling station, like sort of up around like the satellite sort of altitude. They would then fuel the shuttle, send it off to Mars, and then they have they're planning to build these stations on Mars where they could refuel using huge solar farms, like enormous solar farms. And then basically, they would then refuel when it lands on Mars, because of course they're developing rockets that they can land and then like relaunch. Up to 100,000 flights per rocket is their plan.
Huh.
That seems insane.
Okay. Yeah.
You think like the stresses.
Wouldn't they start with like, I don't know, fucking 20?
Well, I mean, it's insane. The numbers. It was like when it enters Mars's atmosphere, the rocket will be traveling at, I think it was 7 kilometers per second.
Yeah.
Like 7,000 meters a second, and then as it goes,
that is a fuck. Yeah,
it's like,
that is insane.
Yeah, I looked at some numbers. It's like, I think it was Tokyo to like London takes 13 hours or something. Like, oh, this jet will take like 20 minutes.
Just to put this in perspective for people, I have a car, a Citroen, and the steering wheel starts shaking at 120.
Yeah. Kilometers an hour. That's not even meters. Meters per second. It's like 30. Just doing 7,000.
So I don't think my Citroen would make it, is what I'm saying, basically.
That's going full for trusting the French.
I don't think so. That's true. Never trust the French for anything but wine and cheese and food in general. So they're really also trying to develop fueling. So as you can see, it's like a multifaceted problem. There's health problems, there's fueling problems, there's habitat issues. Like, it's a lot that they need to fix. So I mentioned earlier in 2022, SpaceX are going to send a like robotic automated craft, right, to Mars. They're actually going to send 2, I think it is. Each of them will have 100 tons of payload of like raw materials. They're going to send mining equipment, solar panels, surface vehicles, food, and life support systems. And the solar farm, when it's all built and working, will cover approximately 56,200 square meters, or 605,000 square feet.
Okay.
Like, it's enormous. And that is literally because they need that to generate enough electricity to obviously power for the colony, but also to generate energy to then send the rocket back.
Okay.
And then in 2024, as said, they're going to send 4 manned flights to basically set up these supplies and bases and start sort of building out the solar arrays and stuff.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah.
But I haven't seen
Sounds
anything
cool.
where they're going to address the huge
I don't
issues
think they
with
got
creating
that
these
far on
diamonds.
that. I think they just have a sort of due date at this point. But I think 2024 is probably going to be a little too close to call
Yeah.
home. I think it'll be probably more like 2026 something. But if he gets there by 2024, like Jesus Christ, man. And I wouldn't put it past him. Like this guy, like Elon Musk, is fucking.
Imagine
If he
being
wants something, he fucking gets it.
Imagine being the astronauts. They're like, all right, guys, I got a job for you, right? So we're going to fly you in our rocket. You're going to refuel at about the same height as the space station. When you get there, you're going to feel like half of you are going to feel really sick.
Yeah.
Like real sick for a day or two. You're going to feel pretty bad.
Okay, Elon. Okay.
Then you're going to sit in this ship for about 4 months,
Gotta sit in it.
heading into the darkness away from the Earth.
Away from the
You have to train incredibly hard or you're going to lose all your muscle mass and bone density and have a lot of health problems.
It's good. There's no problem, Elon.
You may be half blind when you get there.
Yep.
Then when you
already
get
am.
there, you're half blind, you're lost all
Okay.
your mass, you have no strength. You're going to choke to
Can't
death
see
on the
anything.
atmosphere. There's
Okay.
no oxygen to breathe.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we're going to require you, while you're blind and hungry and can't breathe, to build these highly sophisticated technological scientific advancements so that you can then live.
But, Elon, Bob from Kentucky here, can I just quickly intervene?
Yes.
When all that is done, will it be legal to fuck my sister there?
You know what? Yes, you're on the
I
frontier,
am
my friend.
in, sir. I am going to Mars.
Last I heard, there was no Mars police. Just do what the fuck you want.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We
Yeah.
have our very first astronaut
Exactly.
on the show. It's amazing. It's Bob from Kentucky.
From Kentucky.
Man, that guy gets around, huh?
Oh, he does it all. He's the pioneer of many things. But I think the worst part as well is like they're going to send you to Mars. But I was reading, it takes 2 years of constant production from the solar panels to get enough power to send the rocket back. So if you have any problem, you're fucked. You're just stuck on Mars. You're
But
gonna.
that's the thing, though. Can you imagine, like, arriving on Mars and doing all that shit, and all of a sudden, there's your rocket just lifts up again and just fucks off back to Earth, and you're standing there on Mars, like,
fuck.
all
Where
right,
was
well,
Bob?
time
Where
to
was
plant the
Bob?
potatoes.
I thought Bob was on the ship. Oops. See ya, Bob.
Bob comes in backwards, just through the door behind you, and goes like, "Well, I think I pressed the wrong button there.
I just see
I was fucking my sister, you see. It's allowed here, you know."
fucking that little space turtle over there. See, I just see him becoming like Matt Damon in The Martian, just like going insane, like trying to grow potatoes out of his own human like feces, and just
Yeah,
going literally
yeah.
insane, talking to himself.
But that was a good movie, though. I
It
like
was,
that movie.
But that's pretty much what it would be like for these people. Like if they have any
Yeah.
problem whatsoever in that 2 years,
they're fucked.
they're never coming
They're
back.
fucked.
How do you
No, they're
how do you
fucked.
sell this to people?
But I do believe that if we get to that point, that people will step up, and if not,
someone
then
will
I'm
do it.
always here.
Yeah, I mean, someone will do this shit for sure. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah.
you would be, like, forget Jesus and all that. You would be the guy remembered for ever if you were
Yeah.
in this first bunch
Well,
of people to
probably
make a new
not.
colony.
Like history doesn't remember the heroes that well.
But I think intergalactic space travel and colonization is a monumental step that you would be remembered for. I would think.
Well, everyone remembers
would
Neil
hope.
Armstrong, and he didn't go to the moon.
True.
Everyone remembers, what is he, Henry VIII or whatever, and he was just a dude who fucked a lot and couldn't have a son.
Yeah.
He killed his wives.
Yeah. Fucking idiot. All right, but yeah, that's kind of what I got on Mars. So
Yeah.
That's some cool
so
shit.
anyone that thinks it's why can't we do it? It's fucking hard.
There's a lot of reasons apparently why we can't do it. Like, Jesus,
I mean,
fucking
there are a
Christ.
lot of people out there that think
I
it's
think
impossible.
at this point, let's just all go to Uranus. Like that's the solution, or get Karen involved. That's just it's gonna be either one.
Mr.
It's gonna be either
Manager,
one.
Mr. Manager, I need a planet now.
All right. So is that it for
That's
this
it.
week?
That's it. I hope you were a little bit educated.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I got a good boy this week. Wait, let me check real quick.
You have a goodest boy, Batman?
Coronavirus.
What for taking out the boomers?
Did you just say coronavirus?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. You know what? Let's do it. Let's make
Oh,
the coronavirus the
Well, in a
goodest boy
sense
of the
it
week.
is though, because it's brought people closer together. We're giving Earth a little rest that it needs.
No, it hasn't. We have to stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
It's
but
pulling us
we
apart,
get us
Allie.
to talking like with people in a different way.
Well, no, the biggest
it's like
highlight.
a common enemy, I
the
guess.
biggest highlight here is it's taken out the boomers that destroyed this planet to begin with.
No, the biggest highlight was that I was ghosted by my psychologist Friday.
That is true.
I
Can
think
confirm.
that says more about you than about the coronavirus, to be honest.
Maybe she was just in conversations with Elon Musk to be the SpaceX official Martian psychologist.
I think
Yeah.
new theory. I think new theory here. Ali's psychologists created the coronavirus just to have an excuse not to talk to her anymore.
Yeah,
Because,
pretty
like,
much.
Sitting in the same room as a baby murderer is
I
basically the
wasn't even
scariest
sitting
shit
in the same
she's
room. We
ever
were
been
talking
through.
online through the phone.
Yes, that's true.
And he just didn't answer anymore. He was like,
No,
"Fuck that
we
bitch."
had I had one meeting with her, and then she was like, I think we need to talk a few more times. And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'll book you in for Friday. And I was like, okay, Friday 5:30. And then I was sitting on my phone waiting for her to call me, but she never called.
That's what the people on Mars are going to be like.
I thought they were coming, man. Fuck, where are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the goodest
on
boy
that
of the
note-
week is everyone doing Earth a favor,
Yeah,
staying
doing
at
their
home.
shit. Yeah.
Unless you're buying toilet paper, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that too.
All right. Well, on that lovely note, thanks everybody for listening. If you want to find us on social media, we are on Instagram. That's @random.podcast. That is at.random.podcast. And we are on Twitter as well, Alex.
We are on Twitter at @AT_randompod. And
There
remember,
you go.
dick pics to Instagram, not
Oh,
Twitter.
God.
Just remember that.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually enjoyed the ones that already been sent to me, and I've gave honest ratings, I gotta say. So, yeah, keep them coming. I don't give a shit. Good dick will always cheer up my day.
And
Said
on,
the married man with 3 kids.
and on that rather depressing note, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.